Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning back into Mental Tenacity. This is your host of Men 10, Mojiman, and today we're talking about Lesson 4, Direction is as important as speed. I want to talk about this today on the podcast because this is an issue that I've had with myself for a while. I'm the type of person, when you give me a project, when you give me something to do, I'm all about it. I'm all in. I'm super aggressive, super quick, super obsessed. I'm very gung-ho. I want to go get it. And this has led me to some successes in my life, but it's also led me to some great failures because while I was flying so fast, I crashed and burned because I didn't know I was headed for a wall. So I've learned to take pauses and reflect on what I'm doing and pay attention to my direction, and it has easily allowed me to become more successful more often rather than crashing into a dead end because I was able to look ahead, plan, listen to myself, and correct my direction on where I was headed based on what I want to be and my values. And that's what I want to talk about today. So if you're listening to this podcast, you probably have a goal in mind. You have a target, you have a dream, and you're working to achieve it. Now, we all have this idea of what we want in our head, and we're working very fast to it, but often we forget to check the direction that we're going, and it often leads us to a target that is not exactly what we want. Sometimes it's absolutely not what we want. Sometimes it's kind of what we wanted, but it's a little off. And this happens because we work so fast and we're so focused on working towards it that we forget the direction that we're actually going. Now, there's no perfect path, of course, to your goal, to your dream. No one's going to show you how to do it. No one's going to hold your hand. You're in it alone, for the most part. Success is really hard. Achieving your dream, achieving what you want to become is very tough. And often it's a lonely road because you're on your own and no one's going to hold your hand through it and show you the way. You have to dare to lead. Now, daring to lead an isolated path where you don't know where the path goes is quite difficult. You don't know how long the path is, you don't know how many turns, ups and downs, hills and valleys there are, but what you need to have a good grasp of is the direction that you are moving in and to make sure that it is towards what you want to be. What do I mean? If you are an entrepreneur, if you are starting up your own thing, if you're a music producer, a guitarist, a writer, an actor, whatever it may be, whatever you aspire to be, you have to pick your niche while you're progressing. Let's say you want to be a lawyer. Great. You want to be a lawyer. You go study law, you get to law school, you take your exams, but at some point you need to figure out what type of lawyer do you want to be. Do you want to be a trial lawyer, a corporate lawyer, a civil lawyer, a patent lawyer? There's a lot of options there, and as you progress down the road, you need to be more and more specific and accurate with your direction so you get to the right point. Often, you'll see successful people unhappy with what they have. Even though they are successful by your and my or their definition, they might be unhappy. This is simply because they did not land at the target that they were shooting for. Maybe they did something wrong, maybe they followed someone, maybe they took bad advice, maybe they just made a wrong decision that was not true to them. But ultimately, they landed off target, and while it is still successful, still along the path, the direction that they took was not exactly correct, leaving them unfulfilled. We can prevent this with reflection, with assessment, self-assessment. Now, on this path, this long path by ourselves, we are going to have to dare to lead. Because when you want to do something for yourself, you don't have the luxury of following the sheep. You cannot follow the sheep. What do I mean by this? The sheep, which is an analogy for the normal crowd, they follow the shepherd. The sheep follow the shepherd, and the shepherd herds the sheep. Yes, he feeds the sheep, he protects the sheep, he takes care of the sheep, but the shepherd does this for his own best interest. If you want to prioritize yourself, if you want to prioritize your time and your goals, you need to prioritize yourself. You need to make your own decisions. You can't follow the sheep because the sheep follow the shepherd. Now, there's nothing wrong with this. This is basically a standard for any kind of job, corporate job, ranking system, whether it's the army, the police, whether you're in banking or, anything institutionalized. There is a bureaucracy, there is a system of how to do things, and you will have to follow the line, the path that is made for you to a degree. But in our own lives, when we want to be entrepreneurs, when we want to be self-creators, content creators, self-starters, there's no path, there's no guidance. and you might see a shepherd, such as this great influencer that inspired you. You know, let's say you're a music producer and you look towards Chance the Rapper. Chance did an amazing job at promoting himself, growing without, signing record labels, without using deals to get there. But you can't follow what Chance did, what this shepherd did. You need to do it for yourself, because what worked for him might not work for you. These decisions are very hard to make, but what you're going to need to do to make these decisions correctly is you need to embrace who you are. This is much easier said than done. Embracing who you are takes immense amount of courage and confidence. Embracing who you are is actually something that I would say most people, especially in the younger peer groups, have trouble doing. They're afraid of what other people will say. What are other people going to think? Do I fit in? Am I like everyone else? They see the cool kids. They see the people that they want to be like, and they try to emulate that. They try to be like them. But ultimately, it'll steer you to live a life that is not true to yourself, which will make you dissatisfied with the life that you live. Embrace who you are. Do the things that you like. Enjoy what you enjoy. Because it's popular to wear a certain brand and go to a certain party and behave a certain way, does that mean you need to do it? Maybe. If you're trying to get in with a crowd, if you're trying to do something, sure. Maybe it's standardized, normal behavior, okay. But do you have to meet the niches that other people are? Do you have to be exactly like someone else because you want to emulate what they are? You could try. You could definitely try, but I would say in most cases, in 90% of cases, that won't work for you. And if it does work for you, then there's a high chance that you just won't enjoy it. You might achieve the status, you might achieve the target, the goal that you had in mind, but because you were not true to yourself, because you did not embrace who you were, and you did not do what you actually enjoy, you end up at this target that you thought you wanted. And now that you're there, you realize, this ain't it, Chief. What happened there was a lack of direction. If you embrace who you are, you will have a sense of the direction that you need to go in. Do you like to sing? Do people tell you not to sing, but you can't help it? You find yourself singing in the car, singing in the shower. You want to be a singer. You started a page, you sing. People don't seem to like it. They don't seem to comment. They don't seem to share. Maybe my singing isn't that good. Are you just gonna stop? The fact that in your heart you like to sing, you have a sense of direction. You know this is what you want to do. Yes, you can go have a normal job to get paid, but you need to pursue your passion. If that's what you ultimately want to do, you need to work towards it in that direction. The most genuine people in our lives, we can't help but love them. Think about the most genuine niche people in your life, the most genuine funny person. Sometimes their laugh is funnier than the joke. Sometimes their charisma is so genuine you can't help but talk to them. Think about the nicest genuine person you know. You cannot help but care for that person and treat them correctly. They've never done you wrong. It feels like they're inclusive and kind and they care about you. Think about the most genuine people when it comes to their own character. Sometimes we find ourselves annoyed that they're so aggressively being themselves. But can you blame them? Those people are doing their best, I would say, to try and be who they really are. They're embracing themselves. Have you ever met someone that's so passionate about their business that is all they seem to do? Have you ever met someone so passionate about playing the guitar that's mostly what they spend their time doing and talking about? And it's fine. That is their passion. For me, I have nothing to shoot them down for. I'm very happy that they kind of found what makes them happy and they're pursuing it. A lot of people won't do that. A lot of people will make decisions based on practicality disguised as fear of what the possibilities are if it doesn't go right, fear of failure. But they found a sense of direction and what they want to do, and they're pursuing it, and I am all for it. Those genuine people, we love those genuine people. Those genuine people go on to become some of the most successful people we know. We hear them on the radio, we see them on the TV, we listen to their music, we watch their shows. Some of the biggest YouTubers and content creators are genuine to who they are. It's just they put themselves out in the world, and because they enjoy what they do, because they're confident in their own skin, we can't help but like them. And sometimes some people will judge them, for sure, but that's going to happen. Not everyone's going to like you, and you need to accept that. Just find your direction, and when you're on the path towards your goal, your genuine, true goal, you'll find yourself happy, even if people don't seem to like you. There's plenty of people out there. So do what you enjoy. If you enjoy music, go record. If you enjoy playing guitar, go play guitar. If you enjoy writing, do it. Talk about writing, learn about writing, become obsessed with it. There's nothing that says you shouldn't become obsessed with what you love. Hell, is that the point of life? It just may be. For me, the meaning of life is to give life meaning, and it can be whatever you want. But if you are obsessed with your career, that's fine. Go for it. If you are obsessed with producing music, fantastic. Go produce. If you are obsessed with podcasting, great. Create some content, work on your craft, and make it great. Once you're comfortable with who you are, you can find your direction because you will have an idea of what makes you happy and what you enjoy. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be happy the whole way. It's hard. It is hard. You're going to have to play the guitar for thousands of hours. You're going to have to write for thousands of hours. You're going to have to record music and delete the bad stuff and edit clips. You're going to have to, do whatever it is that you need to do to get great at what you want to be great at. It's hard, but on the path, on the direction, you're going to wake up energized, happy to do so. If you find yourself stuck in a certain way of life, you can't wake up with passion. It's a groan to go to work. It's a groan to do that thing. You don't want to do it. It doesn't fulfill you. It doesn't make you happy, but you need to pay the bills. It's hard to get yourself out of that rut, but if you start to invest in yourself and put time and effort into your passions, into what fills you up with joy, that will pay dividends to you and your happiness. That is the greatest version of you. It's you doing what makes you happy. Now, life is a maze. It's a very complicated maze with plenty of dead ends, plenty of paths, and everyone's exit point is different. It's a different maze for everyone. And we don't have the luxury to do it backwards. They say doing a maze backwards is much easier, and I do agree. It is much easier to do it backwards. When you have the exit point, you can kind of work your way into the middle a little bit faster because in the end, it's designed to be a little bit easier than the start. For the most part, not always the case, but we don't have the luxury to do it backwards in life. Hindsight is always 20/20. It's very easy to connect the dots when you have all the pieces. It's very easy to say, oh, I should have made this decision, and oh, I should have done that, once you've already gone through the motions, once you've already experienced it. But give yourself a break. Forgive yourself. In the moment, before you've done all this, before you gained that experience and took on that challenge, you had no idea where this was going to go. You had no idea what this path entailed, the trials and tribulations that were going to come, the challenges that you were going to have to pursue, the decisions that you were going to have to make. Maybe you've never made decisions like that. Maybe you've never even done what you're about to do. It's fine. Hindsight is always 20/20. You're going to look back with all this experience and you have the past to look at, and you're going to reflect, and you're going to say, wow, I should have done this, I should have done that. Of course you should have done this and that, but you did not know. You were still learning and growing, and you were inexperienced, and now you do know. And now in the future, you can make the more correct decision, if not the correct decision. And in the future, you can help someone else make the correct decision. Now, we can't do life backwards, so there's no point on beating ourselves up when we're looking back on things. And we also don't have the luxury to get a bird's eye view. When you do a maze, when you're finding your direction in the maze, it's very easy to see all the routes, see all the paths, see the size of the maze and how it turns, and we get to follow with our eyes different routes that we would like to take before we actually take them. We don't have a bird's eye view in life. In life, you don't know where the maze goes. You don't know where the different routes go. You just have to go down them and see if it goes anywhere. Most of the time, like in a real maze, it will be a dead end. You will find yourself blocked, and then you're going to have to, usually, we would just trail back out of that dead end and start back at that intersection where we made the wrong decision and then try the better decision, make a better decision. But in life, it's not as easy as walking out of the dead end. Walking out of the dead end can be difficult. Maybe you've invested a lot of money and you've lost that. Maybe you've put time in, months, maybe years. And now it's going to take time to walk out of that decision. You kind of need to reset your mind and your life. That walk is also not an easy walk. You're going to have emotions flood you. Guilt, regret, sadness, the feeling of failure. Maybe you're going to want to quit. This is hopeless. I keep running into dead ends. It's all going to haunt you. It's going to stop you. But you need to keep that sense of direction in your heart. Now, unlike a paper maze where we get to look above, do it backwards, we get to see all the dead ends, we do have one advantage that you would not have on a paper maze. That one advantage is that unyielding tug in your heart, that feeling that you have in your gut, that voice in your head, that fire and desire. You know what you want to do. You know what makes you happy. That is a hint that can guide you in the right direction. Is it the answer? Maybe not. But because it's coming genuinely from inside you, it's uncontrolled passion, it's automatic, it can guide you to what you want. Now, of course, what we want isn't always what we need, and it's not always correct. But with the proper decisions, with the proper research and education, you can make the right decisions for yourself. And as you go on, as you learn and grow, you can adjust what you want. You can adjust that direction. And that is what's going to be key here. Learning to sense our direction and adjust when we veer off course. When you do that, when you find yourself on the right path, when you find yourself going the right way in the maze, in the right direction, you're going to wake up with so much energy. You're going to feel a sense of purpose in what you do. You're going to want to do it. It's like doing a career that you love. You wake up every day, you're excited to learn, you're excited to perform, learn, grow, be promoted. You love it. It's like producing music. If you have the luxury to do so full time, you're excited to sit down and write and create, work with beats, think about lyrics. Sometimes maybe you hang out with your friends and shoot ideas back and forth. That's fantastic. If you have a job where you find the task to be mundane and you hate it and you kind of do it just for pay, that's fine. A lot of us do have to do that. We have to do a lot of things to get by. It's not going to feel fulfilling to you, obviously. You might even already know what I'm talking about. Often you'll do things that, well, you'll want to moan and groan, and they don't fulfill you. They don't feel like fire and desire. And therefore you wake up slow. You feel unfortunate that you have to do so. I would say try to be grateful and create new opportunities, but if you're stuck in these motions, try to find that direction deep in your heart. Listen to the voice. A lot of people will say, I don't have a voice. I can't hear it. It's not saying anything to me. I'm just stuck in what I'm doing. And I would rebuttal with, you definitely have a voice. Maybe you just need to listen for it. It might be very subtle. See, as we go through life and we get cluttered with all these things that we do, it's our responsibilities, the relationships that we want, the income that we have to make, the debts that we have to pay, and our obligation to go to work, and all these other people, and the chores, and maintaining ourselves in the house. It clutters your mind, it clutters that voice, it becomes lost in this pile of things going on, and it's harder to focus and find it, but you're going to need to do so. If you find yourself unhappy, if you find yourself to be on the wrong course, you're going to need to find the voice that's going to give you the right sense of direction. Often we hear it and we're afraid of it. Often we're afraid of that voice giving us the direction because it sounds wrong. In our head, we know this to be the direction. Let's, for example, use money. We want a lot of money. We can pursue this career. We're in this career. We went to college. We got a degree, and we have this job, and we want to make money, and we keep doing this. But in our heart, something is telling us that we want to pursue cooking, and we love culinary arts and nutrition, and you love to cook and bake and do all these other things that are creative with food, and this job, it just drains you. But you do get excited every Friday, Saturday night when you get to come home and you get to create something. I would say start recording it, start talking to yourself, be your own TV host. Do it. Why not? Someone's going to judge you. Someone's going to make fun of you. Just record it. Be yourself. Do what you love and record it. See if it's actually enjoyable content. Then you can learn and pick up some things. Let's say you actually do enjoy this. You can show a friend, or you can just post it somewhere. Create a page and start doing it. You can add things like music, animation, get a better camera. As you'll learn to speak out loud better, you'll become better. People will want to watch your show. You'll get more creative ideas. You'll find yourself learning how to make new things and new culinary designs, and you'll learn so much more about nutrition. You'll become a master in your niche. And people will come and people will watch. And the people around you, if they're mature, if they're like me and they appreciate genuine people, they're going to love that you're pursuing something genuine, that you're pursuing culinary and cooking, that whether, that's a small example. Maybe it's music, maybe it's guitar, maybe it's writing, maybe it's podcasting, maybe you want to start a YouTube channel where you do pranks, whatever it may be. Do it on the side, start a little bit, because that is that sense of direction that you have. It's what your mind and your heart wants to do. That is your true direction. We see often a lot of successful people that got successful really fast, and yet they're still unhappy, and the answer is they went really fast in the wrong way. That is just the simple answer there. They went really fast in the wrong way. And while we might be envious of their progress, we might be envious of their speed, it doesn't matter how fast you go. If you're going in the wrong direction, you're not going to end up where you want to be. It doesn't matter how fast you get there. And that's why direction is as important as speed. I'm going to use the analogy of a boat here. I like to say that life is more like sailing than it is driving a car, because when you drive a car, you have a route to take, and you usually know where that route will take you, and that route is paved and has a destination start to end. Most often in life, that's not the case for someone who's trying to self-create and become something new. Yes, if you join a career, if you join a ranking system, there is a road mapped out for you. Yes, you can join a bank and you get promoted to an associate in 3 years, a VP in 5, an executive in 15, whatever that course may be. Maybe you're an accounting person, there's a different timetable there, associate, whatever is in the middle, a partner. There's a timetable to all those things. Of course, you have to produce, but there is a road you can take. There's a guidance. Often when we self-create, there is no guidance. So I would say when you pursue your passions, when you do something that other people can't guide you on, it's like sailing, because when you sail, the whole ocean is open. Everything's a possibility. You can go in any direction at any speed as long as the water's deep enough for your boat to go. Now, the average boat will go about 25 to 30 knots. It can cruise at that level. That's about 34 miles per hour, 30 knots. Now, let's say you're trying to get to an island. That is your target. This island is about 4 hours away, but this is your target. This is your goal. This is where you want to go. Let's say the person next to you has a speedboat. This speedboat goes 60 knots. That's about 70 miles per hour. It's about double your speed, and you're worried that this speedboat is going to get there much faster than you're going to get there. He's going to get to the, or she is going to get to the island first. Now, what if I told you the speedboat was off by about 15 to 20 degrees? Its direction was not exactly correct. While you have a great sense of direction and you're headed on the right path and you're making the right turns, this person with the speedboat is not really paying attention. They're chatting, they're doing other things, but the boat is moving fast. If it takes you 4 hours to get to this island, by hour 3, traveling at 15 degrees off course at 60 knots, this person will actually be so far off the actual guidance, the actual path. They will have worked their way not only towards the island, but off a path that's askew to the island. They're not headed for target. So therefore, you on the correct path can actually make it to the island before them, because they now need to correct. They need to correct their path, and that is only if they realize they're on the wrong path. Maybe the speedboat, which was expected to get to the island in about 2 hours, has been moving for about 2.5 hours now, and this person is curious, why? It's been 2.5 hours, how am I not at the island yet? And they come to realize they're moving in the wrong direction. Now they need to correct. Not only do they need to go in the right direction, they need to figure out what the right direction is. That will take time. They're going to have to stop the boat and figure things out, and then start on the correct path, which now requires them to do even more sailing than they would have if they paid attention to their direction. You, the one who had the good sense of direction, the one who did not lose track of your path, you're making good, steady progress, true to yourself, true to the island, and you just might arrive before them. If they were traveling askew, they did not cover the same amount of ground that you did at 30 knots. While they were going 60 knots, they were going sideways. They were going in the wrong direction. Correcting that now is going to take time and effort, and they're going to have to solve the direction that they need to go. You on your steady path, you can get to the island with less effort, with less speed, because you had a good sense of direction. And that is why direction is as important as speed. You can work as fast as you can. You can work as fast as you want. You can become totally obsessed, as I used to do. But if you're not going the right way, are you really making progress? And if you're going in the wrong way for very, very long and you don't even realize it, well, you can be totally off course. And there's going to be a lot of work to undo that, redirect, and start moving again. Now, this boat may not just have you on it. There's a complicated situation where there can be people on the boat telling you what to do. There's people telling you how to turn, how to drive the boat. Let me drive the boat. There's people telling you how fast you need to go. There's people telling you what you should be doing with your boat. But you need to remember, while all the advice, maybe they're just trying to look out for you, all the advice is appreciated. You need to do what's best for you. This is your boat. This is your mission. This is your cruise. You are the captain of your own ship. Make your own decisions based on what your heart and your mind are telling you. Now, they're not always going to speak to you, and that's fine, but you need to make sure that you're educating yourself, you're taking the right steps, and you're making the best decisions for you after thinking them through. Now, we're going to have people in our lives that we admire. They're going to give us great advice. If we're a music producer and we talk to another successful music producer who got big through Instagram and did the right things when it came to marketing and partnering and, had brilliant ideas to spread his or her music, we can take advice from that person. That would probably be very credible advice. It will be useful advice as long as they have good intentions for us. Now, you can't take all of the advice, of course. Like I said, a music producer like Chance, what worked for him might not work for you. And you need to be aware of that. Maybe what they're trying to do is not what you're trying to do. Maybe they, don't take this the wrong way, maybe they did music to become rich and famous. Maybe you want to make music because you want to get your music to the people that need to hear it. You have a more emotional attachment to it. Well, then maybe all their decisions you might not agree with. Maybe if you take some of the advice, like partner with this person and make this kind of money while they exploit you and use you, you can make that decision, then you realize that you're being exploited and used and you're never going to get to your purpose. This is something that Lady Gaga talks about in an interview. She talks about how the music industry and the representatives, they kind of use her as like a cash cow. They know she makes money. They take her to events. They do co-sponsorships. They use her name and her brand to make money. And at the end of the day, all she wanted to do was spread her music to the people that wanted to hear it. She wanted to spread her art, her poetry. And here are these people using her because they know her brand is strong. And you might find yourself in a situation like that if you're making decisions that are not in your best interest. She says that she got caught up in all the to-do list stuff, in the laundry list of chores that you have to do to grow as a celebrity, and then it kind of took over. Make sure you check your direction. Make sure you can control that before it spins off, before that boat goes and it veers off course. It's good to reflect. Think about what you do. When we look back in our schools and our maybe our work, we have these self-reflections to do, and we're like, oh, a self-reflection, how lame. I have to talk about the things that I do. I already know what I do. I'll just write some random crap in there. But think about it holistically. It's a good moment to think about what you've been doing and how you've been doing it, and is it going to get you to your target? If you have an idea of where you want to be, let's say you do self-reflection for your corporate job, are you doing your tasks to their full extent, or are you just kind of doing them because they were asked to? You can reflect that you've been doing your task and you've learned how to do your job great, or you can reflect that you've gone above and beyond. You've provided more information that was asked for you. You've done your research. You're very knowledgeable. You can speak on your topics. You've taken time outside of your work hours to learn software that can not only help you shave down time in your work, but enhance your work, make it better. That person, if their goal is to evolve their career, is on track. That person is on track, and they can say so because they've reflected so. Maybe you can catch yourself slipping. Maybe you can catch yourself, wow, I used to do all these things and now I don't. Because of this self-reflection, you've realized you have veered off. You've veered off course. You need to realign your direction. It's good to take these moments and reflect back and look. Now, I won't say fill yourself with regret, but if you find issues, if you find mistakes, you can correct them. And it's better to correct them sooner, now, rather than later. Because undoing a big mistake is much harder emotionally, physically, and energy-wise than undoing a smaller mistake or a misguidance. Now, the people on the boat, there's also useless advice. You have to be careful to not let other people veer you off your direction, especially if they know nothing about what you're trying to do. You might have fantastic friends who are successful in their own paths. Maybe one is an accountant and another one is a great culinary chef. But you, as a music producer, the advice they give you, while it might be great, well, if they are successful accountants and successful culinary artists, I'm sure there's a lot of things that intertwine, such as certain skills. But if they're going to give you blanket advice or criticize the things that you do to progress your music, to share your music, to progress your music career, is their advice, is their criticism actually to be taken heavily? Should you weigh that? Have they ever experienced what you're trying to do? Do their goals align? Do their values align to what you want to do? Their sense of direction might be totally off, and while they think they're helping you by kind of showing you the right way, their target is different. Therefore, obviously, their direction is different, and they're actually pulling you off course. So you want to be careful. You want to be careful of how you accept what other people say. You want to make sure what they're saying is credible. Don't brush everything off. I'm sure a lot of criticism has a lot of constructive parts to it, and you want to make sure you're not doing the same to others. If you have someone in your life pursuing their passions, don't give them advice on things that you're not really knowledgeable about. If you have a friend that's producing music, well, hell. If you're an accountant, you probably know nothing about producing music. While you can be there for them and help them and support them, don't try to guide them. If you don't know what's going on, if you don't know what's in their heart, don't try to guide them. You can look out for them. You can make sure they're not making the wrong decisions, make sure they stay safe, but don't try and steer their boat. They have a sense of direction, and they'll learn to build some. Help them find their direction, don't steer their boat. And that's what I'm doing here today. This podcast is created to help you find your direction. I'm not here to tell you how to do what you need to do. I'm just here to tell you, make sure what you're doing is true to you. Make sure you are true to yourself. Be confident, be genuine, and own who you are. This way, you will find your direction. And once you have your direction, you can work like hell. You can build up that speed and get there. Make sure you reflect on yourself and the path you're taking. Make sure that you are still on the direction you need to be. Every 6 months, every year, whatever it may be. Just look back and say, am I making the right decisions? Are they true to myself? Am I making progress to what I want to be? If the answer to any of those are no, it's time to get to work. We need to find our direction. If the answer to those questions are yes, well then, we can kick up the speed. And that is why I believe that direction is as important as speed. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast today. I hope you can take something away from it. I hope you learned something from it. Maybe you came across this podcast in the moment that you needed it. It's funny how in life we'll come across things as we need it. I hope this podcast gets you thinking about your direction, gets you started on reflecting. And I hope that you share this podcast with someone that just might need to hear it. Mental Tenacity Podcast is a podcast for everyone. I want you to become the greatest version of yourself. I'm on the journey myself, and I'd like to bring you with me. Thank you guys for tuning in to Men 10 today. Stay posted for the other episodes. I have a great deep coming up with some awesome people. Stay posted for those. Please follow the Instagram page at mental_tenacity. I have some fantastic content that comes out daily there. I think you'd really enjoy it. It'll help reinforce what we talk about here. And until the next podcast, keep your mental 10 out of 10. Keep it Men 10.